Greetings, Qutatron here. This weekend I played the beta of game I've been waiting for, Dune Awakening. It's a game by Funcom, the creators of Conan Exiles, a survival game I spent hundreds of hours in, so naturally I couldn't help but compare the two of these games. The idea of diving into a solid sci-fi survival experience was super exciting for me, even though I'm not deeply familiar with Dune universe. I just couldn't resist giving it a go. This isn't a full review. It's just my early impressions as a fan of space games, survival mechanics, and RPGs. Accessibility. Funcom did a good job making the game accessible to new players. The early stages are full of tips, which you can disable, of course, and the game introduces new mechanics gradually enough that even a complete casual can get into it. However, there is a downside. The flood of pop-ups and tips broke immersion for me at times. I had similar feeling with Conan, so as soon as I got a grip on the basics, I definitely want to turn off all notifications and restart the game for a cleaner experience. Another guiding element is journey system, which fans of Conan Exiles will recognize. It's a progression path full of tasks and achievements, like gathering, crafting, mining, combat, and base building. A big plus here is that in Dune, this system is tightly integrated with the story, unlike in Conan, where it felt just like checklist in your menu. Dune creators made a better job if we're talking about this journey system. Still, I see one big issue. Every completed task gives you experience points, which makes the whole gameplay loop felt very arcade-like, even though it's framed as part of narrative and mentorship system that teaches you how to survive on Arrakis. It still felt a bit gamified. You can, of course, disable and ignore it, but then you are risking missing something crucial, especially since there is ton of stuff to build, mine and craft. Plus, by skipping the journey, you miss out on experience bonuses. Playing with default settings, I didn't die at once. I never felt truly threatened, even though Arrakis looks like hell at first glance. But keep in mind, this was just first few hours of gameplay. Exploration and survival. Arrakis is a deadly desert. The sun can kill you, dehydration will finish you off, and if you run too long into open desert, a giant sandworm might eat you. These three mechanics have a huge impact early on, limiting how far you can explore, and I think that's a good thing. Sticking to rocky outcroppings and making short dashes between them lets you safely find plants that can partially restore hydration. You'll also find harvestable materials and mineable resources without problem there. Spotting points of interest is easier thanks to binoculars, a mechanic I really liked. It feels very natural and reminds me of scanning mode in No Man's Sky. Locations aren't overly complex, but I still had fun exploring. Climbing is also a thing, limited by your stamina, which sometimes turns exploration into a light puzzle challenge. A nice touch. As your character develops and your crafting improves, you expand your exploration options. Just being able to secure a better water source can dramatically increase your travel range, and I love that kind of progression. Resource gathering. A lot of resources are just lying around and can be picked up quickly. Some are dropped by enemies or found in loot crates. For larger deposits, you need a tool called a cut array, which scans for weak points, usually a line you have to cut through, and after breaking the deposit, the materials go straight to your backpack. This small interaction adds a bit of immersion, and overall resource gathering is quick process, which I see as a plus. However, your backpack is limited, so the first thing I crafted in my base was extra storage crates. Character progression. Unfortunately, I can't say much here because I didn't play long enough. As you level up, you gain two types of points that let you unlock nodes on skill trees and blueprints for crafting and base building. Even early on, the crafting system gave me a sense of progression and expanding options. Combat, on the other hand, was so easy that I never felt the need to dive into the skill tree system. Combat. Combat, at least in the early stages, is too simple in my opinion. Enemies pose no real challenge, and the mechanics are very basic. You got a light attack, a slow attack used to break some enemy's shield, and it's tied to the Dune lore. You have also a dodge and a block that can stagger enemies. That's about it for melee. Compared to Conan Exiles, this felt like a big downgrade. Conan's combat was clearly inspired by Souls-like games. It was satisfying and brutal, even from the start. In Dune, you can just button mash your way through most fights. I could excuse this by saying it's an early game, but knowing what Funcom is capable of, this is a disappointment. Big minus for me. There is also a ranged combat. I'm not a big fan of third-person shooting, but that's a matter of taste. The shooting mechanics are basic but functional. Base building. You can build your first base quickly and easily. It's a big plus, at least in the early stages of Dune Awakening. I feel this game isn't that grindy as Conan Exiles, and that's a very good thing. The UI still needs some work. I couldn't find a way to manually rotate building pieces. Maybe it exists, but if it does, the game should pointed it out, especially since it holds your hand for everything else. The building system looks very standard and reminds me a mix between Conan and No Man's Sky. It's functional and in my opinion it's okay. Overall, I think Dune Awakening could be a solid entry point for players unfamiliar with survival games. It likely appealed to fans of Dune books and movies, and for players like me, it's an interesting title worth checking out. But just don't expect anything groundbreaking. You can tell that this game was made by experienced team, and whether I end up recommending it will depend on how the project evolves, especially when it comes to monetization. Be aware, this is still beta, this is not complete game. We don't know how monetization system will work in the full release. We don't know how various mechanics will be improved in the upcoming game. But let me know in the comment if you like to see more content on the Dune Awakening. I'll be happy to make more. If you are not subscribing yet, please consider subscribing, it will help me a lot. And as always, thanks for watching, have a great day, and bye bye.